Hey, this is Ina, in with you in the Fight Back. Today I want to talk about thoughts on recent organizing. The communist left in the US is in a sad state. There's a division over old debates. The siege mentality seems all too common among groups that wave the red flag. Yet communist change has never been more urgently needed. There has been the financial collapse of 2008, the continued wars abroad, and the assault on workers at home. Communists certainly have a lot of work ahead of them. This video is my personal look at some recent organized experience of mine that I took part in. It is hoped that other comrades eager to begin work as revolutionaries can learn from this experience. Before going on to my organizing experience, a note is in order. If you're a regular viewer of my videos or read my blog, then you know about my time in the Freedom Road socialist organization, Left Free Foundation. I spent 8 months as a member. Yet my organizing experience was very little considering my full-time schedule at the time. Once I had more time for organizing, I left the organization since it was not in any way interested in communist revolution. Granted, I've been writing essays and presenting videos on Marxist theory. This is all experience of a kind and useful to the communist struggle. It is not quite what I hope to do as a revolutionary. I don't have much in the way of hands-on organizing experience for mass struggle. This means that I was starting at the very beginning, as it were. I'm not ashamed to admit this. Not everyone is born as an organizer or full-fledged Marxist. We have to learn. We have to go through the struggle. We have to reflect on what works and what does not. That being said, this is my account of my baptism as fire as an organizer. Suffice to say, I learned more in one meeting than during 8 months as a member of Freedom Road. The group in which I was a part is small. We all came from different backgrounds. Some had more organizational experience than others, unions, student groups. Others had more knowledge of Marxist theory than others. Based on what I observed, everyone identified as a Marxist-Leninist, if not Maoist. Yet there was disagreement on some questions. I personally hold Trotsky in high regard. Another comrade was in support of Stalin. This difference on historical matters doesn't concern me. As a comrade pointed out, there are no sectarians in foxholes. This formulation is very apt. Our group is not interested in some textual fundamentalism on the sacred texts of Marxism, and is it not a major problem with communist groups currently? If you join a group, you're often expected to subscribe to that group's verdict on historical and theoretical questions. Groups like this often claim to be a vanguard party since they have the right pedigree. At one point, I believed this. To some, that must be appealing. You don't have to think over questions that are already done for you. Groups like this spend a great deal of their time debating historical and theoretical questions to the nth degree, making sure everyone has the right line. Groups like this expect that once they've set down the correct line, that people will eventually flock to it. You really don't have to do much from there, just win converts to the line, and eventually the group will reach critical mass and make the preordained revolution. If the goal of the communist organization is to make the communist revolution, it seems so simple that you could almost label it as common sense. This means that a clear agenda should be set up for meetings. What are the practical tasks the group is organized around? Are we organizing a boycott, a lecture series, a mass demonstration? What tasks does each member have? Is someone developing contacts? Is someone drafting letters of support? And once this basic groundwork has been done, then what? What happens in a mass movement? Well, as the same comrade pointed out to me, we should be united on policy and slogans that lead to the possibility of mass action. This is sidestepping sectarianism with practical organizing. There's a high level of unity around the essential question, i.e. building a movement around mass action. Certainly we can have differences on historical and political questions and debate them. I am personally a historian and find interest in old debates, i.e. Trotsky versus Stalin, yet I take a historical interest in these questions. I don't let it interfere or overshadow the task of practical organizing. On practical organizing. 1. In a group like this, you need a clear agenda. What do you hope to achieve at a meeting? During a meeting, questions should be raised about a particular action, i.e., how should we reach out to people? Everyone should be consulted as to their opinions. These opinions should be respected, and disagreements should be handled in a comradely manner. 2. This means fostering a climate of trust and cooperation that in some way should mimic the society where you're seeking to build. No one should be shouted down. Everyone should say their piece, yet a point should not be lingered upon for too long. Eventually, the meeting needs to move on to the next point of the agenda. 3. While at a meeting, at least one person should be taking notes. This will make it easier to recap some essential points when the meeting ends about issues that came up for debate and future tasks. However, everyone should take some notes if possible, in order to be informed. A more structured and larger group should probably have someone assigned to take notes. 4. Before the next meeting, everyone should know what they are going to do in the interim. Are they developing contacts, drafting a letter, producing a video? The task may be mundane. You're not going to be storming barricades all the time, yet it serves a function. It develops your organizing ability. It helps you to learn the ins and outs of practical work. It also means that the meeting is not the only time group work is discussed, but rather when the agenda is put forward and progress is measured. But that work continues in between meetings. You learn, you develop yourself as a communist in struggle in whatever task you carry out. 5. Organizing is not merely for the sake of organizing. It is not just to build a union, a demonstration, etc. It is related to the larger goal of the communist revolution. This is important based on my own experiences in Freedom Road. Members of Freedom Road were capable of building organizations, unions, student groups, yet it was disconnected to the larger goal of communism. Because of this, Freedom Road led groups willing to accept immediate reforms as all they could accept, and just wanted their organizations to help pressure for those same reforms. If we accept that communism is the goal, this opens new questions. Then we are united around the goal, whatever differences we may have on other historical theoretical questions. Furthermore, we recognize that end, but accept that we don't know the means. We essentially follow a Maoist epistemology, experimenting with actions and finding out what works and what doesn't. Perhaps a union work is essential and participating in elections. From there, we try to learn from those experiences. The union work was successful, yet election participation didn't broaden our message. While doing this, we always keep in mind that we are assessing particular actions and how they advance the communist cause. To sum up, these are only notes of an initial organizing experience. They relate almost wholly to how communists work together at a particular meeting. Yet the notes contain advice that can no doubt be replicated elsewhere. These notes are meant to provide a summation of my own initial experience and to assist other comrades who don't know where to begin. And this is Ina saying, as always, ever onward to victory.